Hey, magical being. Welcome to episode 63. As always, Sunny Bonani Dumalang, goeie aand, afternoon, bon dia. So, if you saw yesterday's episode, you would have realized and noticed that my sound cut off with 7 minutes to go. But alas, in the spirit of fostering authenticity, I posted it anyway. And it was an interesting one for me because I do keep doing little sound checks. That's why I'm holding this guy today, because I know that it's going to need to be charged very soon. And I'm just holding it to offer a little bit of a check. But I've decided that even if my recordings cut out of sound, it's meant to at that particular point in time. And I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as a serendipitous event which happened for me to learn from, experience from, grow from. And yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in here today. So today's episode is actually called The Last Messiah. And this is the last Messiah. So I painted this magical being probably 3 years ago now. And I painted him at a time in my life where I used to be putting people up on pedestals. Everyone was either more enlightened, better humans, more connected to source, more grounded, wealthier, happier, more wholesome, healthier than me. Everyone was up here and I was still here. Not from a place of lack, not from a space of not good enough. I'm sure there was a little bit of that in there sometimes as well. But just from this place and belief that there were others out there that were just so much better and more evolved and more equipped than I was. And it was so amazing because at this particular time when this character came through to me, I was embarking on a new practice in martial arts, and I had put my sifus up here. Up here, they were like flying. And it was so fascinating and interesting because this is not the first time that I've done this. In fact, I did this. I used to do this repeatedly. I always, I guess, used to see the potential in people, and then that's what I used to focus on. I used to focus on the potential and forget about all of the apparent red flags and honest, real, raw, evidential data that was usually in front of me. And it was so fascinating because this guy has just got so much magic surrounding him. Can you see how bright and wonderful his aura is? And how blessed and magnificent that energy is. But if you take a little bit of a closer look, you'll notice that there's an immense amount of sadness and hardship and pain that is within his physical vessel. So as much as the aura is illuminating around him, the actual body and his vessel is in quite a dense, thick amount of turmoil. He's even got a little staff here that he needs to help him walk, because even walking for him has become really, really labored and hard and heavy. And it's almost like you can see how life's hardships have really taken a toll on him. And he like wears that within his physical vessel and his body. And it's so interesting because for so long, I never got to connect to that part of myself. I never got to connect to the part of myself which I held in high esteem. The vibrancy, the playfulness, the creativity, the willingness to learn, the commitment, the discipline. You know, I thought everyone had these aspects and elements within themselves. I thought that this was innately in everyone, and it didn't really make me special at all. You know, in fact, I was putting everyone here, so why would I be putting myself there? You know what I mean? And this guy really, really came into my life to remind me of the magic that I have within my own beingness and how my aura and my yellow vibrancy is so encased and entrenched in this part of my body, this part over here. And for so long, and it still happens from time to time, there I can be a lot. My energy can be and for so long I used to think that that was like such a bad thing. I used to believe that I couldn't really shine my light because I'm being too much. I'm being too OTT. I am a little too much for some to handle. And this guy really just reminded me of the importance of holding that magical yellow energy and aura and vibrancy right here within the pit of my tummy and within the pit of my beingness. And, you know, as much as I used to put people up on pedestals and put them up on pedestals in a way that was like a defamation of my own character and removing the blinkers from the aspects and elements of who they were. Like I didn't want to see those darker shades, you know. I didn't want to see those red flags because I was so enamored and so besotted with the prospect of this being that I placed on the pedestal. And it's so fascinating and interesting that when that person that you place up on the pedestal gets knocked down, it's nobody's fault but our very own, because we didn't take the time to acknowledge and take the time to honor our own steps on this journey to mastership and to mastering our own beingness and essence and beliefs, habits, behaviors, you know. Sometimes when we're looking out, it's so easy for us to not only offer critique, but also offer praise to others so easily. And yet, when it comes to looking at our own selves and witnessing the mastery that has taken place in our own essence and in our own world and in our own life, we tend to sometimes shy away from that because, you know, who are we to do that? Like, you know, that's just so egotistical, I could just imagine someone saying. Or it's just your pride, you know. And I guess this guy has really journeyed with me. Like we've really been on a journey. I feel like he's reminding me of all the valleys and the peaks and the mountains that we've both had to endure and embark on. And, you know, I have titled it The Last Messiah. But this Messiah is the last Messiah because he's the Messiah that came to teach me not to put others on a pedestal, but to rather walk beside them. And when we walk beside them, we raise ourselves up to be on the same pedestal that everyone else is on. And, I offer embodiment practices and I share my energy and space with humans who usually have got physical challenges or are in a space and place mentally where they're struggling. We all have our stories. And I really, really endeavor and pray that people don't ever put me up on pedestals. Like, I really don't want to be put up on pedestals. I want to be viewed as someone who journeys alongside you, walks beside you. He's just there to listen when you need someone to hear what you have to say, but from a space of just being there. No advice, unless advice is asked for, but sometimes people just want a place and space just to be heard, not to be lectured to or told what suggestions or improvements they need to make, but just to be heard and just to be seen and just to have a space and place where they can feel what they need to feel and honor those feelings and feel like it's safe for them to feel those feelings. So yes, magical being, I trust that today's episode has been illuminating, liberating, and has offered some form of contemplation. And perhaps take a moment in this very here now to think about who you place on a pedestal. Who do you place right up there? Even in a religious setting, think of it from this perspective. Even in a religious setting, there's so many, we always look outside. We always turn, especially when things are not going so well, right? It's like we want people to come and help us and save us. And not to say that that isn't true or not possible, but how often do we turn within? How often do we turn to ourselves, look ourselves in the mirror and go girl, come on now. Let's go. You've got me. I've got you. Let's do this together. And place yourself on that pedestal, but be humble enough to help others up as well. Not just scoff them down. Bitch, get off this. It's not enough space for the two of us, girl. It's just enough for one of us. And that's usually when we see those red flags. And that's usually when we see how we place people up on the pedestal and now suddenly they're coming crashing down, because at the end of the day, even the Messiah is human. Yes, Jesus was human. Jesus is, to a degree, human. He was a human who found Christ consciousness and was able to regulate his nervous system in a time and in a place and in a way that was completely unbeknown to many others. And he's not the first master to have walked on this earth, nor will he be the last. So, yes, this is, I guess, just a reminder and an episode to invite and invoke and awaken, perhaps, the master that is you. That magical, perfect, brilliant, bright, creative, wondrous being that is you. A master in your own right, in your own form, in your own way, in your own hue of humanness. We are all masters. Or perhaps there is the potential and the prospect for us all to become masters. But as you can see here, it requires the journeying over many hills and crevices and valleys. It requires commitment, it requires focus and dedication and illumination and the willingness to just show up raw, real, authentic. Because how else are we going to master the wonder and the essence and the seedling that is us if we don't allow for that, and we don't create space and the right environment and offer the right context for that to take place. So, magical being, it is 15:44 on the timer right now, and I really do feel like my poor little speaker here is like, "Girl, I'm going to die any second now." So, yes, I do feel like maybe this is just a good place to pause, and I trust that it's offered you reflection, introspection, some form of contemplation into your own world, into your own mastery, and to that magical creative being that is you. As always, continue to sow those seeds. Allow for the flow of life to guide and find you so that you may ultimately grow, illuminate, and glow just like this guy here, and also me, and also you, and also everybody else around you. So, yes, until tomorrow's episode, stay wondrous, stay magical, stay delicious. And I'll see you then. Bye.